Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of the Oddcast Podcast. As you can see, we have visual now. I'm here with
Jonas,
Jerry,
Peyton,
and I'm Adon. All right, so who wants to kick us off with our topic?
So a recap of last episode of the Oddcast Podcast. We had a story where a nurse, or where a woman had given birth to a baby whilst being in a vegetable-like state, implying that, she was sexually assaulted, raped by somebody. And a recent news article by CNN actually came out this week. A nurse is accused of impregnating a woman in a vegetable state who later gave birth. Okay, so a 36-year-old nurse has been arrested upon suspicion of impregnating a woman in a vegetable state who unexpectedly gave birth last month at a Phoenix healthcare facility, police said Wednesday. The alleged perpetrator is named Nathan Sutherland, a licensed practical nurse who was caring for the woman at Hacienda healthcare facility. So, yeah, I'm
glad that he was caught.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first time I heard about that story. That was actually very shocking because I think that how can someone like that do that to someone that's not even conscious, how they can go through with it.
Especially like a practiced
nurse, licensed. Like, you're supposed to be able to trust these people.
Yeah, it's horrible just what people can do. But
the worst part is, like, she had to give her full trust because she's in a vegetable state, so she can't do anything.
She can't do anything,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyways, all right.
So who wants to kick us off on our next topic?
Does anyone else? Here, you wanna?
Yeah.
All right. A suspect killed 5 people inside a SunTrust Bank branch in Florida. Just one employee escaped. This is coming from CNN. Updated at 3:08 on today, Thursday, January 24th. A 21-year-old man accused of killing 5 people Wednesday at a SunTrust Bank in Sebring, Florida, entered the branch and shot every person he encountered in a senseless and random spate of violence. Police Chief Carl Hugland said Thursday. But one bank employee in the back room, when he heard the shots, he was able to run out the door and contact law enforcement.
Jeez.
So this guy just randomly went into a bank and killed everyone inside.
And how many people did it say?
5 people died.
And he didn't even steal money.
He just killed people.
Yeah. Jeez.
That reminds me of the scene. It was like in Jurassic Park or something. It was like the dinosaur was just killing the brontosauruses for fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, killing for sport. Why recently? We've only just seen Well, I don't know for sure, but it seems like in more recent news, that has definitely become a recurring theme. People just going on massive tangents and killing people just because. It's what is going on with our culture at large that is happening. You could say that that's somewhat due to the media covering it to the extent that they are. Maybe it's for the fame, but who knows.
Another quote: the suspect gunman, Zephin Zaver, had no known connection to anyone inside the bank, and there was no evidence he wanted to rob it.
That's so sad. That's sad. I feel bad for the families and how they lost someone just because they just felt like going into a bank and shooting it up.
Yeah,
it sucks.
So who has our next topic?
So, on a lighter note, NASA's Opportunity rover logs 15 years on Mars. So that's a big win for Opportunity.
Doesn't it sing happy birthday to itself every year or something like that?
Yeah, and people were commenting on Twitter how lonely that must be.
Yeah.
How long has it been on Mars?
15 years.
That's just
old.
as old as all of us.
Yeah.
It's 1 year older than all of us.
Well, plus flight time and all that stuff. It's probably older than us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are you guys' ideas on the fact that people are trying to go to Mars and live on Mars?
Well, from like a scientific perspective, I don't think it's a great idea just because the massive amounts of electromagnetic radiation, like damaging radiation, because they don't have an ozone on Mars. Mm-hmm. So it's like if they find a way to like negate that using like, I don't know, like really thick like housing or something for like the Martians, then yeah, but they'll be still exposing themselves to massive amounts of radiation. So it's like, I don't know about that, but it would be cool, right? I mean, like,
that would.
I mean, the first person that's going to be born on Mars is going to be a Martian.
Yeah. Well, they can't actually like have sex on Mars. Like, I think it's like at least 5 years or 10 years or something, because all the radiation. Yeah, like they don't want people giving birth on there, and I don't think it would be a great idea. Birth defects or something. Anyways.
Moving on to some international news. There's basically kind of semi-civil war going on in Venezuela. Guaido versus Maduro. And each side has a pretty long list of backers, with Maduro being basically the highest military commander there. He's being backed by like Russia, China, Turkey, and other smaller, more left-leaning nations over in Latin America. And then Guaido is backed by a lot more right-winging or leaning democracies in Latin America, such as Brazil, Colombia, and Argentina, as well as the U.S. and other nations as far away as the European Union are backing them as well, which is, I mean, this is a really interesting thing. I'm curious to see how this would play out.
Yeah, I heard about that from another Oddcast podcast member, Everett. He said that Donald Trump was saying about something about going to war if Brazil was up for it. I'm not 100%.
Well, we also have our diplomats. Like, they're like, you need to take your diplomats out of here, and we're like, nah, we're gonna leave them. And so if something happens with our diplomats, you know, we never know what might happen.
Right.
If the U.S. gets involved, then probably Russia or China or somebody's gonna get involved, and it could escalate into something pretty bad.
Yeah, yesterday Donald Trump tweeted out, "The citizens of Venezuela have suffered too long at the hands of the illegitimate Maduro regime. Today, I have officially recognized the president of Venezuelan National Assembly, Juan Guaido, as the interim president of Venezuela." So, I think he's stating his stance on that pretty clearly.
Yeah, and also another story that came out of that, the embattled president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, says he's ending diplomatic relations with the U.S. after President Donald Trump officially recognized the opposition leader as the legitimate president of Venezuela. Mm-hmm. So he kind of feels like he was like double-crossed, because Trump is basically saying like it's all over, even though they're still like trying to declare who's president.
Yeah, right. I think this is going to be a very long, kind of drawn-out thing. Mm-hmm. Hopefully they don't go into a complete civil war, but it's not looking good.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to some much better news than possible civil wars. There's probably my most favorite emotional support animal out there, Wally the alligator. So like I found this when I was just scrolling through my newsfeed, and I was like, wait, what? Did I read that right? And so Joey Henny, I don't even know how to say that, keeps a 4-foot 6-inch alligator named Wally as a pet and brings him to various facilities as an emotional support animal for vulnerable populations and persons living with disabilities. He rescued the alligator from Florida in September of 2015 when the alligator was just 14 months old, just a little bit over a year. And so he was initially scared because, you know, it's a wild animal when feeding it. So he used tongs, but after a while he got used to it and started picking him up. And he says he just acts like a little puppy. There's a photo of him rubbing his belly, which I think is the most adorable thing ever. Yeah, and so he couldn't get it registered as whatever the other thing is. It's like an emotional support service animal,
Right.
but because the intense training and stuff that goes along with those, he just registered it as a emotional support animal.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I think that's the most adorable thing ever.
I mean, I've never heard of an alligator, but I mean, you've heard of like bears and polar bears.
Yeah,
and
I've
stuff
heard
like
like
that.
birds and but like alligator. Like, oh, I love my alligator so much.
Yeah.
The spiky texture is just so amazing.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't take my support dog and be like, oh yeah, go hang out with the other support animals, and it's like an alligator.
Yeah.
Like, whoa.
Yeah. So like he says when he takes them for a walk, he's gone like away at the park for 5 hours because everybody wants to meet Wally. I want to meet Wally.
I want to meet Wally.
I don't want to meet Wally.
So we can move on to some Florida man stuff. Those are always interesting.
Mm.
Yeah, Florida always has interesting news. I mean,
yeah.
I love Florida man news.
Mm.
So this guy, Florida man, who can't swim, jumps in the lake while fleeing police and gets arrested.
Huh.
Alright, if you can't swim, avoid the water. Rule of thumb. I think so. I mean, yeah, the guy may have been in panic and stuff, but I don't even know.
Yeah. Florida man is always up to something. So I just found this like really weird article. China's latest monkey cloning tests are considered monstrous. Okay, and this is coming from Fox News. So China's latest monkey cloning experiment has sparked outrage and has been labeled monstrous by animal welfare advocates. Researchers at the Chinese Academy of Sciences Institute of Neuroscience have cloned 5 monkey babies from a single donor with genes edited to cause diseases. The Chinese scientists tinkered with specific genes in the original donor monkey to produce the unhealthy animals, which they say will help animal research. So basically what it sounds like they're doing is purposefully giving these monkeys diseases to help do research on them.
like
Cloning them and with the same like undesirable genes in them, just studying them.
oh
Yeah, it says here the researchers said the monkeys demonstrated increased anxiety and depression, reduced sleep time, and even schizophrenic-like behaviors. Yikes.
What? Why would somebody do that?
Yeah.
in the clones. So.
But they're still animals.
Yeah.
They're
Well, that's
still
also another
conscious.
topic.
I mean, they're
we
morally
can-
still animals.
Yeah.
But they're not really still animals.
Because they're not the same. I mean, they're not the same. I mean, their genes are the same, but like their interactions,
I think
how
they're
they
still
grow.
animals.
Yeah. I mean, obviously they're still.
Yeah.
They're still
Like-
considered animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like animals when they're cloned, they don't have the same like thoughts and experiences as like their original one.
Well,
So
don't
it's
they still grow up the same?
They grow up with the same genes, but not the same experiences, right? Because like,
personality wise.
yeah, yeah.
But isn't that how twins are?
What?
Well,
I mean, twins.
But twins are like in the same environment, like same.
Yeah,
everything.
they're still in the relative, but even then, there's like differences between twins.
It's
Yeah.
like if you had twins, right, and then you gave one twin
I
to like a
I
bad.
just feel like kind of clones are just gonna be like twins. Like they're still gonna be the same. I mean, twins sometimes grow up in different environments. I mean, there's like been the experiments like in the Parent Trap, where like they get
Yeah.
flopped or whatever, and they don't know about each other.
And then they have completely different personalities.
Yeah.
So they're like pretty different in that regard. I mean, genes the same, but then personality probably very
So I
different.
just feel like it's gonna be like having a twin.
It's a similar situation.
All right, so
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna wrap the topic. So I don't know if you guys heard of this, but you guys know who Chris Brown is, right?
Yes.
Yeah. On Monday, January 21st, Chris Brown was arrested in Paris after a woman filed a report of an aggravated rape with police.
Somebody's
Yes.
in trouble.
You know, he has a great track record, as you guys might know.
Oh yeah, with Rihanna.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I heard that he got off. Like he was able to come back to America, but the details aren't really like super clear on it.
He's probably gonna get tried in France. Because...
Yeah.
Today, January 24th, Chris Brown has filed a defamation lawsuit in Paris against his accuser. According to TMZ and The Hollywood Reporter, Brown's lawyers, Raphael Schick, is reportedly pursuing criminal action against the accuser for her alleged slanderous accusations. The maximum prison sentence, if found guilty under the state, is 1 year.
1 year? Oh, for her.
Yeah, for her.
For her, right. No, yeah, it's always iffy with like especially with like popular figures in culture,
accusations, because
like you never really know if they're doing it. So I mean that's why we have due process, right? You know, to like make sure that everything is truthful and stuff like that. But that's crazy. That's just crazy.
No bueno. But like but especially Chris Brown.
Yeah.
Like you said, like he has this record of things that he did in the past, and then like this comes up. It's like I don't know.
Do we trust him again?
Yeah, it's like I don't know if we can trust him. But at the same time, I know he's been trying to do good. I know he has a daughter now.
Yeah, he's been doing better.
Yeah, and he's trying to become a father. But like even now, like when that story came up, it's just like I don't know.
Yeah.
And we just have to look at it as like it's an accusation.
Yeah.
So it's still not proven, but it's
proven not guilty.
Yeah, innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah. Whatever that was.
All right. Do you guys have other news stories?
Yeah, I have one more. So, I don't know if you guys know what this is, but the Doomsday Clock.
Yeah.
So if you guys don't know, the Doomsday Clock is essentially a clock that, it's more metaphorical than anything. It's not an actual clock that basically represents how close humanity is to killing itself, essentially. And so every year they release the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists, which has maintained the clock since 1947. Every year they analyze everything about humanity, essentially, and they put a point like how close it is to midnight, which is the no. We don't want to go to midnight. And so like the lowest it's been was 2343. That was in 1991. And so now it's 2 minutes till midnight.
2 minutes.
Yeah, that
2 minutes. Has he even gotten down to 1 in this past century?
No, this is the lowest it's ever been. I think it was put to 2 minutes.
It was 2 minutes last year as well.
Yeah, it was 2 minutes.
And what does that do to like mainly?
It was in 2017. It was put to 2.5. 2018 2.
So to wrap it up, I'm going to be talking about the future. So on February 24th, the Oscars are going to be happening. What are your thoughts on Black Panther being a nominee? And people are outraged because Black Panther is a nominee, but Avengers: Infinity War isn't. And they say that it's a better movie than Black Panther.
I haven't seen Black Panther, so I don't really know.
I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? Like, Avengers sold way more than Black Panther.
But it's also the stigma that kind of goes with it. I mean, Avengers, it's a multi-film franchise.
Right.
Meanwhile, Black Panther is a sole film. So I feel like it's kind of like how people will go back and see a movie just because it's that movie. That's why, like, these new Star Wars are doing so well. Because, you know, who doesn't want to see a new Star Wars movie? You know, that's such a famous series. So it's kind of like what's going on in the game world. You know, people pre-order games instead of actually looking at if it's an actual good game or not.
Right. Right. No, I think that I don't know. Both are good. We gotta admit, like, both are pretty good movies. I liked Black Panther. I liked the visual effects. The ending visual effects weren't that great.
For what?
For Black Panther, like the final fight, like the angles, the camera angles, the rotating around them. I know they used a ton of CGI in that movie, and like
Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's becoming more of a recurrent theme with Avengers movies.
All movies in general.
Yeah.
But in Avengers Infinity War, Thanos, Josh Brolin, he did amazing things. Like even though he's like CGI, just like his eyes and his acting just like portrayed Thanos as like a really good villain.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, like I don't know, at the same time as Thanos was doing all these bad things, I kind of like felt like what he was like trying to accomplish and why he kind of thought, this is a good thing, not a bad thing, because I'm saving half of the universe.
Yeah, it was like
sacrifices.
It was for the greater good.
Yeah.
We just did a project on that fairly recently, a couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole separate topic in and of itself.
Even if you do the greater good special.
Yeah. Yeah, but
we should do that. Greater good special.
I don't know.
Greater good special. Yeah, that's gonna be.
I'm not aware of like the nominations.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, there are a bunch, but I think the story is just the Black Panther should be replaced with Infinity War. I'm just like, I don't know. They're both good films, just like, but in my opinion, if I had to choose, I'd pick Infinity.
Yeah, me too.
I've only seen Infinity War.
I haven't seen either.
All right, I think that's a wrap. Just one last time, I'm Adon,
Jonas,
Peyton,
and Jerry,
and this is our first film Oddcast podcast. Hope to see you next time. Bye.